SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
It's hot, but the deals are hotter. It's the end of season sale here at Scruggs. Right now, get $2,700 off all in-stock John Deere Z900 Series zero-turn mowers. Fuel injected and ready to roll. Plus, take advantage of our 0% financing. Looking for a tractor? Scruggs has the package deals you've been looking for. Or we can help you customize your own. And 0% up to 72 months is available. But hurry, these deals won't last long here at Scruggs. Remember, we have what you want for less.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby.
Hello and good morning. Good morning. Try that one more time. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, Thursday, February 5th. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're glad to have you along for the ride. And we welcome you to the conversation. A conversation that can go on and on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Give your business the edge with gigabit fiber from C Spire. Learn more online at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Lance, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. We're above some freezing temps finally, it seems.
Is it
Kinda,
this morning?
yeah.
It's cold outside this morning, brother.
It feels like it. It looks like it'll be nice, though, during the day. But yeah, it was a little crisp this morning.
Tell you what, it is going to be nice. Tomorrow and Saturday, all across the state of Mississippi.
It is deserved.
Yes, sir. I got some buddies who are going to jump in the car and drive to Jackson tomorrow to play golf.
Ooh.
70 and sunny tomorrow in Jackson.
Yeah. It's a road trip there.
Yeah. And
A little breakfast to get out there on the course early. Yeah, man. Spend the whole day doing it.
Might let it bake a little bit. Warm up just a touch, and then take advantage of that 7 degrees tomorrow afternoon.
I mean, one of these days, a lot of folks that play golf, when you finally get this kind of weather, it's an all-day affair.
Yeah.
You take off work, you're done. I mean, you're on the course, got a cooler full, make the turn, man. You might even have to go in and get a sandwich or something.
That's right. Or a hot dog.
Yeah, whatever's available.
Grab that dog at the turn. You might play golf today, but you're going to probably need some layers if you do in most places, because not only is it going to be cold, it's going to be a little windy, and the wind is out of the north. Iuka, partly cloudy skies, just a high of 41. Winds out of the west and northwest, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Over the north part of the Delta, Clarksdale, you've got mostly sunny skies with a high of about 45, 5 to 10 mile an hour wind out of the west. Mainly sunny today in Flora, 49 degrees for your high. Winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And Loosedale, a mainly sunny sky, high of 53 degrees, winds northwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. So hold on to your hat in Loosedale. I will always remember Loosedale. My summer after my senior year in high school, with some buddies, we went to Destin. Yeah, just a little pretty chill senior trip. And at that point, that's the route we still took to the beach. We would kind of meander our way down. Didn't do the deal where you kind of went over to Birmingham and then took 65 down because you weren't trying necessarily to get to the east end of like that Destin, Seaside, 30A, all that area. It was more the west end. This was like old Destin.
I love old Destin, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's got so much character. But if you're trying to get from the 30A area to old Destin in the summer,
no,
you better hire a helicopter. Because, I mean, one way, you are easily spending an hour in the car. And maybe two. But I remember we stopped for a bathroom break at Loosedale on the way down. I remember chickens. I don't remember if there was like a chicken farm or a chicken house there, or it was just a big 18-wheeler that was full of a load of chickens. The details are sketchy.
It's a memory, though. Yeah, it's burned in there. You know,
It's
there was
just one of
chickens
those-
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather's from
Fairly
down that
sure it
neck
was a
of the
Chevron.
woods. Chevron does have a good fried chicken.
Well,
Maybe they were
maybe they were
dumping them
getting
off.
ready to make a big batch.
Dumping them off, man, en masse.
Oh, goodness.
I love that part of the state, though. The
Yeah.
southeast corner. Yeah, my grandfather's from down that neck of the woods. I just always enjoy, when you're going to the beach, you're always in a hurry, but it's something about any of the roads you take. It's just kind of, you're there when you get to about Hattiesburg, Loosedale, Wiggins, any of them. You're just like, oh, I'm getting there. Yeah. The sun gets whiter. You feel like you're going downhill. And then the trees. I love the live oaks and the foliage and all that. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it down there.
My wife Jane has no desire to move again.
Mm-hmm.
We've moved enough. Our roots are pretty deep where we are. But if I told her, "Hey, I found a house and it's got a driveway leading in, and the driveway is lined with live oaks,"
Yeah.
she might say, "Well, let's at least take a look. I'm not sure that we're going to move, but that might be the thing that would grab her and be like, there are other nice places to live."
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing wrong with Oxford, though.
South
That's for
Mississippi.
sure. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But, you get down
Love
to,
those live oaks,
Yes.
moss hanging in the trees.
well, and if you like golf, you like fishing and those types of things, but you just
Yeah, we got that up
unlimited.
here.
Unlimited.
We got that.
Yeah.
A little different kind of fishing, but nevertheless.
I love going out on the Gulf, man. There's nothing like it. The peace, and then a little bit of resilience you have to have, and being out there 60, 80 miles, and some people like it, some don't. But I actually love that. Just nothing around but just water as far as you can see. And then you come up on like one of the little islands. You're like, all right, we're getting close to home again.
Yeah.
I've ridden out a couple storms on those islands before. A lot of fun, a little craziness.
We get a message, somebody asking if anybody remembers the alligator farm at Wiggins.
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it was alligator. Like I said, my grandparents are from McGee, so I mean, we spent a lot of time between Hattiesburg and McGee and Loosedale and all those areas.
There are some people who were born on this day. Here are a few of them. Robert Peel, 1788. He was a British prime minister, founder of the British Conservative Party and the modern police force, the Bobbies. He was born in Bury, Lancashire, England. Hank Aaron was born on this day in 1934. The Hall of Fame right fielder set an MLB record with 755 home runs in 1957. He was the National League MVP, an all-star 25 times with the Milwaukee/Atlanta Brewers. Well, the Milwaukee/Atlanta Braves, and before that, the Milwaukee Brewers. Hank Aaron, of course, born in Mobile, Alabama.
Another beautiful area. Hey, and what was his nickname early in his career? Not the Hammer and Hank, we all knew, or the Hammer. What was he known as real early in the career?
I don't know.
Bad Henry.
Bad Henry Aaron. Not going to argue with that. Roger Staubach was born on this day in 1942. College and Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback, won a Heisman Trophy in 1963 at Navy. Super Bowl MVP in both 1971 and 1977. He was a Dallas Cowboy who was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. One of the coolest cats to ever play the game. And oh, by the way, his second act in life, wildly successful real estate agent and investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Nolan Bushnell was born on this day in 1943. If I said, hey, what do you think Nolan Bushnell invented? You might go with binoculars or something like that. Actually, not true. He was an electrical engineer born in Clearfield, Utah, who founded the company Atari and created the game Pong.
What was the second game released?
Pong.
Pong was used as a training tool for him and the other guy. But what was the second game that came in the pack? I remember getting it.
Was it Asteroid?
Combat.
Okay.
It came in the pack for a while. Till like 82, I think, like when you bought it. And then at Sears, they had like renamed it something like Target Practice when you bought the game at Sears. It was a family store.
Darrell Waltrip was born on this day in 1947. NASCAR Cup Series winner in 81, 82, and 85. He won the Daytona 500 in 1989. 84 career NASCAR Cup Series victories. Went on to become a broadcaster as well. And Cristiano Ronaldo is 41 years old today, born in 1985. The Portuguese soccer striker, five-time the World Player of the Year.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center, I'm Patty Steele. Venable Glass in Ridgeland on 51 North and Brandon at 209 Woodgate Drive, Cross Gates. Call 601-605-4443 for all of your glass needs. Thursday morning traffic looking good so far, all clear with no accidents or major congestion. Traffic brought to you by River Trust Federal Credit Union. Waiting for your paycheck to hit your account? With early direct deposit from River Trust, your paycheck arrives up to 2 days early. Find out more online at rivertrustfcu.com.
This Valentine's, guys, it's one stop and you're done. I'm John.
And I'm Corey Ravenstein.
At Juniker Jewelry Company, we have thousands of ways to say I love you without you having to say a word.
We are Mississippi's largest fine jeweler with case after case of rings, pendants, earrings, colored gemstone pieces, all at the lowest prices in the state.
Diamond studs from just $195.
Juniker sterling silver pieces start at under $250.
And our signature colored gemstone pendants starting at just $275.
Diamond pendants for under $995 and diamond tennis bracelets for under $2,000.
Maybe it's time for that diamond. Juniker Jewelry Company is Mississippi's direct diamond importer with more loose diamonds and settings than any store in the state.
Guys, it's one-stop shopping and you're done.
This year, this Valentine's, come to Juniker's.
Your one-stop Valentine's store.
Juniker Jewelry Company, 1485 Highland Colony Parkway in Madison, and JunikerJewelry.com, Mississippi's direct diamond importer.
New year, new smile, please. For over 30 years, Dr. Carter has been creating confident, beautiful smiles. What are you waiting for? Stop hiding and start living. From veneers and crowns to tooth-colored fillings and whitening, Dr. Carter can transform your smile into one you love. Discover your options with a personalized consultation with Dr. Carter. Call or stop by Michael Carter DMD today and start smiling again. Located at 607 Crescent Boulevard, just north of the township in Ridgeland.
$7 billion reinvested, thousands of new jobs, all happening on a main street near you. For over 40 years, the Mississippi Main Street Association has helped historic downtown districts across the state to revitalize. We spur economic development in the hearts of our communities, helping small businesses and driving quality of life projects that make your cities and towns better. Thank you to public officials statewide, to investors, and to members who know that community revitalization happens on Main Street. Learn more at msmainstreet.com.
We've sent that Rip Van Winkle guy to the dentist.
Hey, what? Hey, what?
And what's worse than a trip to the dentist? Your wife's paint project that you've put off. Let Seabrook Paint in Jackson and Ridgeland find that Benjamin Moore paint and a contractor that will get you back doing the important things in life, like grilling and watching sports. Seabrook, Benjamin Moore Paint, and a happy wife, happy life. Seabrook Paint in Jackson on Monument and in Ridgeland on West Jackson.
First down.
where Mississippi comes to talk. Middays with Gerard Gibbert. Weekdays here on Super Talk Mississippi. To the coast, we're thankful for you, our Super Talk family. Happy Thanksgiving. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
When I look out my window,
we're a little early, but can it ever really be too early to wish you a happy Thanksgiving?
Amen, brother. I need to delete that one. That one snuck in there.
February the 5th, 2026. We are only 9.5 months away, but we want to be the first, and I think we probably are, to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, the greatest of holidays.
I love it, man. What a good sport. Yeah, that one snuck in there on me.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. I would love to see the reaction on some of your faces as you were listening or driving, maybe working your way through that first cup of coffee, and you ate it. What did he just say?
Yeah, I had a cup of coffee in my mouth when I heard it. Yeah. I spit it everywhere.
Yeah, what did he just wish me a happy Thanksgiving? A public service announcement, I suppose, if you were the thoughtful type, not just the type that orders flowers at the very last second or, grabs a box of chocolates last second, you have 9 days until Valentine's Day. Putting it on your radar screen there. Might be worth checking in, making a plan, showing some thought. She might appreciate that. Just saying.
Yeah, I definitely will appreciate it. Women like to be they like you to make plans. I learned that in life. They like to know things are in order and you've made plans and you dotted your I's and crossed the T's. That's important stuff.
Yeah. United Artists was founded on this day, 1919. It's a Hollywood film studio founded by Charlie Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and D.W. Griffith. In 1931, Malcolm Campbell set the world land speed record at 246.08 miles per hour, driving his famous Bluebird car at Daytona Beach, Florida. I don't think that was on the track. You think that was just on the main drag through Daytona Beach? I wonder how that worked.
Yeah.
That's moving. That is moving in a car. 246.08. Man, there are farmers, land workers, hobby farmers, hunters, and so many others who, when they hear this, might pause, take just a moment, place their hand over their heart, and say thank you to Harry Ferguson. Because in 1936, he patented the suction side hydraulic control system, allowing control of 3-point mounted agricultural implements attached to tractors. The old 3-point hitch.
Revolutionary there.
Oh,
man.
Oh, man. Changed everything.
You think about these guys, too, that come up with all of this stuff. The great inventions of our time. I mean, like, the technology back in the 30s wasn't great. It wasn't, you're curious, like, what kind of workshop were you going with here? Like all the tools you had to come up with, like, you invented something that changed the world without a lot of, the accoutrement that we have today. It's really amazing.
You think he was in the shop one day, he's like, my back is tired. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Is like, how do you come up with these ideas and you actually these folks put it into play.
Yeah,
we work things over and make things better in today's time a lot, but some of those original inventions are still the backbone of what we do today. At least the fundamentals of it.
That's right. You think he went down to the ironsmith shop and said, "Here's a picture. I need you to forge this for me."
Yeah, the guy was like, well, what you building here?
Just do it like the picture shows.
Can't tell you yet.
In 1948, 18-year-old Dick Button became the first American men's figure skating Olympic gold medalist at the St. Moritz Winter Games. He was the first to complete a double axel in competition, retained that title 4 years later in 1952. In 1977, future 5-division world boxing champion Sugar Ray Leonard made his professional debut. It was impressive. A 6-round unanimous decision over Luis Vega at Baltimore's Civic Center. On this day in 1988, so February 5th, 1988, you had the first primetime network televised wrestling match, or wrestling match if you prefer, in 30 years. One of the most famous matches of all time. Andre the Giant defeating Hulk Hogan.
Were you a big wrestling fan?
No.
No, not really.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like the cartoon better, I think. The Hulk Hogan and Rowdy Roddy Piper, all those. Yeah, it was a great cartoon.
Yeah. 1994, Medgar Evers murderer Byron De La Beckwith was sentenced to life in prison in Jackson, Mississippi, 30 years after his crime. 2011, co-founder of NFL Films, Ed Sable, elected for enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I only mention that because he is a guy that revolutionized the way highlights and films were made. NFL Films, kind of the standard for sports cinema. And yes, of course, Ed Sable is where you got From the Frozen Tundra of Lambeau Field. You heard that NFL? Yeah. Ed Sable. And finally, in 2012, this day in 2012, at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, the New York Giants 21, the New England Patriots 17, Eli Manning MVP for the second time in his career. What a run he had.
Yeah, what a player.
And stayed healthy for basically his entire career. Maybe the most incredible and fortunate thing about it. You look around and you got former NFL players limping and can't get out of bed and can't stand up straight. And
he's Chad Powers now.
I mean, Eli Manning retired and looks like he dropped 20 pounds and plays golf every day and lived to be 100.
I love the thing they do, the Chad Powers deal where he was dressed up. That's great. He looked pretty svelte to get out there with a bunch of college kids after spending that much time in the league.
Yeah. It's impressive. Let's see here. What have we got? We've got news headlines for you on this Thursday morning. The Mississippi House of Representatives yesterday passed a $5,000 teacher pay raise, and they did so unanimously. House Bill 1126, authored by Representative Jansen Owen from Poplarville, cleared the chamber by a vote of 122 to nothing. The measure bumps teacher pay by $5,000, moving the minimum annual salary from $41.5 to $46.5, so $46,500. Special ed teachers would receive an additional $3,000 annually. Similar legislation was passed unanimously in the Senate, Senate Bill 2001, and that was a $2,000 pay increase for educators. You may remember one of the senators that we spoke with, I think it was Dennis DeBar that told us this, that $2,000 was a starting point. Okay. Feel like this is one where we can find some common ground and do something good. Perhaps an amendment from the senators that would include assistant teachers as well. There is more in this bill, including the question about assistant teachers, because that was part of the Senate bill when it came along. Assistant teachers were also something that the House included in House Bill 2, and Jansen Owens said that was something that they would work on in a separate bill. There's more in this bill, though, than just the teacher pay raise. School districts would be obligated to pay teachers at least once a month. There's some teachers that get a little frustrated with the fact that you have that long break over Christmas, and when they're not in school, they don't get paid, and then also the summer. It's like you kind of go through the summer without a paycheck. I don't guess I realized anybody still did that, but apparently so. A cap on how much can be made would be implemented at the superintendent level. The bill would not allow superintendents to earn more than 250% of what they would make as a teacher. Superintendent's education level, experience, and the amount of money the district has would also factor into the salary. It raises the amount of money per student that schools would receive to $7,447 per student.
From the
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important. Huge news.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
C-Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. I just started my car. It was warming up, and I heard Happy Thanksgiving. I thought to myself, darn, this is a recorded episode. It's not even going to be current stuff.
Yeah, I almost played you the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown for that intro just to really confuse you.
That would have been good. That would have been good. Talking about the teacher pay raise bill from the House. Increased funding by $500 per student. Around $18 million for the Mississippi Department of Education to identify and aid districts that the agency believes to be in need of help. Would apply largely to D and F rated districts. And then one other piece to this, and it has to do with Tier 5, which was created last year as part of the income tax elimination bill. The updated PERS structure would allow most state employees to retire after 30 years of service rather than the 35 that were put in place under the new tier. For first responders, the time of service before drawing benefits would be 25 years. So, interesting stuff in that pay raise for teachers bill on the House side yesterday. Another bill, this one out of the Senate yesterday, would require schools in Mississippi to teach students how the government works. Senator Bryce Wiggins, the Republican from Pascagoula, fulfilled a pre-session promise to reintroduce a measure that would make civics a mandatory course for high school graduation. Senate Bill 2292 does that and requires schools to teach civics as a standalone course from the 8th grade level up to a pupil's senior year. Not of approval by the Senate Education Committee, it awaits a floor vote in the chamber. Wiggins said it stemmed from basic illiteracy of the American government structure, as has been magnified on social media, in his opinion. He says, quote, "You only need to go on social media to understand that our understanding of how the government works, particularly separation of powers and checks and balances, is at a low ebb. We need to get back to talking about the Constitution and understanding how things work, or at least how things are supposed to work." I have zero issue with civics being mandatory.
Oh, of course. I mean, it seems like that'd be a necessity.
Yeah. Once again, leaders in the House of Representatives are rolling the dice, well, figuratively, to bring mobile sports betting to a state that has had legal casinos for more than 3 decades and a lottery for over 5 years. but has not had enough support to allow people to freely place wagers on sporting events from their phones. JT Mitchell wrote that story at SuperTalk, Mississippi, and that's a little jarring when you say it that way. House Bill 1581, the Mississippi Mobile Sports Wagering Act, was introduced by House Gaming Chair Casey Urey and made it through his committee earlier in the week. 85-31 was the vote on the floor, and so it goes to the Senate. It passed overwhelmingly in the House a year ago, and I don't think it ever made it out of committee in the Senate last year. We've not gotten a floor vote on mobile sports betting on the Senate side of things. And then finally, in your news headlines, this one might give you chills, especially if you live in coastal Mississippi. A massive great white shark, referred to by researchers as Ernst, was recently tracked across the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Researchers with the nonprofit firm OCEARCH, OCEARCH, have been tracking the 12-foot, 1,009-pound female for months, tagging her in waters off of Nova Scotia, Canada. That was back in October. She's gotten her exercise in this fall. She has swam more than 3,200 miles down the East Coast, around the southern tip of Florida, into the Gulf of Mexico. And from January 9th through the 22nd, she pinged southeast of Mobile Bay off of Alabama's coast, then continued west. At approximately 5:32 a.m., that seems fairly specific as opposed to approximate, Ernst was pinged south of Horn Island. Could still be in the area, but if she continues on her route, she's expected to eventually reach the waters off Louisiana. Dr. Jill Hendon, the director of the Center for Fisheries Research and Development at Southern Miss, said during Shark Week of 2025, it's not uncommon for great whites to pass through the deeper waters off Mississippi's coast. Said we absolutely do get great whites. They typically stay a little bit further out and offshore and are primarily associated with cooler, deeper waters. Said because they're an apex predator, they've got a pretty hefty diet to sustain, so there aren't going to be many of them in a specific area just because the environment can't handle the food load. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the first guy to swim across the English Channel. Ernst scoffed at that little journey. 3,200 miles.
Just eating along the way, just eating everything inside.
Man.
A buffet line. If you're telling me, and I believe the scientists, that there's, that the shark would devastate the food in the Gulf. Man, I've fished out there. There is unlimited, so that should tell you how much a shark eats. If they're not enough food, so to speak, to sustain them for long, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gulf is so full of goodies.
Somebody says the shark is in the Gulf of America.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Larry said, yes, never made out of committee. Talking about the mobile sports betting bill. Jeff in Grenada says mobile betting goes to the Senate to die. A couple of shots at Delbert Hoseman saying that he will kill that bill. Time for your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Online at pearlriverresort.com. Check them out. Talking about golf weather, how about Dancing Rabbit Golf Club? You can book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. Dancing Rabbit, part of Pearl River Resort. Only 2 basketball games last night in the SEC. One of them was really entertaining. Texas A&M, who was leading the Southeastern Conference with a record of 7-1 going into last night's game, visited Tuscaloosa. Alabama and A&M were tied at 46 at the half. Alabama outscored the Aggies 54-51 in the second half. Two of the fastest playing teams in all of college basketball Bama wins at 100-97. For A&M, 3 players were in double figures. Rashawn Agee leading the way with 20 points. Alabama had 6 players in double figures last night. 20 from Aiden Holloway, 17 from LeBaron Philon, and 16 last night from Latrell Wrightsell. Alabama made 16 three-point baskets in the game. Texas A&M made 13. Really good, fun game last night in Tuscaloosa. Have you seen the story about Lindsey Vonn? The Winter Olympics begin tomorrow. It's actually already started. Curling, they get going before the games actually officially start. But Lindsey Vonn crashed in a race last week and limped off the course. She had to be helped off. Turns out she has a torn ACL and other damage to her knee, and yet she is still planning to compete in the Olympics this year. Her coach, Chris Knight, told the Associated Press yesterday, "I'm pretty confident that she can still pull off this dream. I've got no doubts in my mind that this is going to be okay." A team of 2 physical therapists and a fitness trainer have been working overtime with Lindsey Vonn. They said she's been doing box jumps. She's trying everything out, loads and stresses and things like that, to see where she's at and how she feels. And she's pulled up great from everything. No swelling, no pain. Vonn said that at this point, surgery has not been discussed. Said it's not really on my radar screen right now. The Olympics are the only thing I'm thinking about. Every day my knee's gotten better, and every day we're discussing with a full medical team, doctors, physios, everyone, to make sure we're doing everything to make sure I am making smart and safe decisions. Lindsey Vonn previously had a partial titanium replacement inserted into her right knee. That was 2 years ago. Returned to racing last year after 6 years of retirement. Now with a ruptured ACL, she also has bone bruising and meniscal damage in her left knee. And yet she's going to race in the biggest event in the sport. How about that? Go Lindsey Vonn. We're pulling for you. Or at least I am. It's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We've got more coming up with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back after this.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Here's your Mississippi Lottery update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery online at mslottery.com. There was no jackpot winner for the Powerball last night, but 2 big wins right here in the state of Mississippi. 1 ticket purchased at Tobacco Warehouse 41 in Kosciuszko matched 4 out of 5 white balls and the Powerball to win $50,000. The $1 power play was purchased as an add-on, and so that prize was doubled to $100,000. Another ticket purchased at Sprint Mart in Fayette matched 4 out of 5 white balls and the Powerball. Also included the $1 double play add-on, winning $50,000 in the double play drawing. As for the jackpot itself, the next drawing coming up on Saturday, that's February 7th. $102 million, the jackpot value, with an estimated cash value of $46.1 million. So the numbers that yielded those 2 winners in Mississippi, 27, 29, 30, 37, 58. The Powerball was 15, and the Power Play multiplier was 2. No jackpot winner on Mega Millions in Tuesday night's drawing, but 1 ticket purchased at Zip Trip Tunica Matched 4 out of the 5 white balls and the mega ball to win $10,000, and got the automatic multiplier, doubled it to $20,000. $346 million is the estimated jackpot for Friday night's drawing that is coming up. Be sure to check out the new national draw game, Millionaire for Life. It's coming Sunday, February 22nd from the Mississippi Lottery with daily drawings starting the exact same day. One lucky player could win $1 million a year for the rest of their life. Download the Mississippi Lottery app to track winning numbers, check your tickets, see the latest bonus promotions, and enter non-winning scratch-off games into the second chance promotional drawings. That is your update from the Mississippi Lottery, mslottery.com. Mentioned the Milan Cortina Olympics are about to begin, the Winter Olympics. You may have seen or heard that a lot more information came out over the weekend in terms of documents and emails related to the Epstein investigation. One of the names that was included in those emails was Casey Wasserman, who is the chair of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Wasserman has faced calls from lawmakers and those in political circles in Los Angeles to step down as chair of the city's Olympic project. He has led that group since it was first announced as a hosting candidate 11 years ago. Currently, the IOC president is Christy Coventry. She was asked on Wednesday if Wasserman was still the right person to oversee the next Summer Games in light of flirtatious emails in 2003 that were exchanged with Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. President of the IOC answered, from the IOC point of view, the organizing committee and how they are structured is not something we are going to get involved in. He, Casey Wasserman, has put out a statement, and there's really nothing else to add. That statement from Casey Wasserman, I deeply regret my correspondence with Ghislaine Maxwell, which he said was long before her horrific crimes came to life. Have you noticed that basically everybody's relationship with Epstein and Maxwell was before they were doing bad stuff? Nobody's been like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. I was still communicating with him all the way till the end. No, everybody was...
No, just deny.
Yeah. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 on 5 counts of sex trafficking and abuse of minors. She is serving a 20-year prison sentence. So there's that. A lot of powerful people had some connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Not all of them were bad connections. It is abundantly clear that Jeffrey Epstein was a leech and worked hard to attach himself to rich, powerful, and important people. Somebody said it's all either before the bad stuff or they were adults. Yeah. 7 o'clock hour is on the way. We got a bill in Congress yesterday that will end the partial government shutdown. State Representative Lee Yancey is going to join us in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll talk with him about what is going on at the Capitol, and also Whit Lewis from Palmer Home for Children coming along in the 8 o'clock hour. C-Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. We'll take a timeout. The news is next. We're back with you in just a couple of minutes.
Any girl in the world could have easily known me better.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Reaching across the state and across the aisle. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Thanks for starting your day with us. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances? Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The C Spire text line is open this morning, 601-879-4395. Check out cspire.com for the latest deals on wireless, fiber to the home, and business IT services. C Spire, customer inspired. Mentioned before the break, the House of Representatives passed a bill on Tuesday that will end the partial government shutdown. This was not the major shutdown that we had a few months ago, but just a partial shutdown. And you may remember when the big one happened, there was talk that, well, this is kind of kicking the can down the road because it could happen again right around the first of the year. The 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. This is a particularly busy time of the year for HR professionals. 1099s going out, W-2s going out, making sure all the tax documents are in line. Let MWG help you with all of those things and so much more. MWG Employer Services can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today to learn more, 601-206-7966 or MWGEmployerServices.com. The Republican-Democrat split or margin in the House of Representatives is razor thin, as evidenced in the vote to approve a $1.2 trillion spending package. It was 217-214, and it wraps up congressional work on 11 of the 12 annual appropriations bills funding the majority of the government for the budget year that will end September 30th. But there is one bill remaining, and it is a bill that covers funding for the Department of Homeland Security. And Democrats are not budging, at least not right now, on some of their demands in changes they want to see at DHS before approving the budget. If you were with us earlier this week, you heard the conversation that I had with Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and she talked about the fight that there was a funding battle that was ongoing on Capitol Hill. When you start talking out loud about the size and the scope of the Department of Homeland Security, and then you realize that, they're playing political games in D.C. once again, which is what it seems as if they do almost every day, you can't help but be a little bit disgusted. I suppose there's a question as to whether or not DHS is actually too big. Is it bad to put all of that under one umbrella? Kristi Noem told us every department that falls under the DHS umbrella or the DHS banner has to do with protecting the homeland. From the Transportation Security Administration to FEMA, from the Secret Service to biolabs, and on and on and on. 23 agencies in total fall under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella. So, what is it that Democrats want? Well, the list is long and distinguished. In a letter from Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries in the House of Representatives and Chuck Schumer in the Senate, we get an idea of the demands that Democrats are making. As they say, we write with respect to fiscal year 2026 funding for the Department of Homeland Security. For months, the American people have watched in horror as U.S. Immigration's custom enforcement has terrorized communities across the country. It's an interesting way to characterize it. Some might say that ICE has been doing its job over the last year for the first time in a long time. The demands that the Democrats make, they say, we believe Congress needs to enact the following guardrails for the Department of Homeland Security if you want our votes. Here they are. Targeted enforcement. DHS officers cannot enter private property without a judicial warrant. End indiscriminate arrests and improve warrant procedures and standards. Require verification that a person is not a U.S. citizen before holding them in immigration detention. No masks. Prohibit ICE and immigration enforcement agents from wearing face coverings. I will remind you, not that you need to be reminded, but these are the same people that were beating the drum for the necessity of masks, which did not work during the COVID pandemic. Did you see the picture floating around from California from, 2020, 2021, where you have an armed security person on the beach talking to a family? And somebody says, can you believe ICE is doing this to a family? And they say, oh, wait, that's actually COVID, and these people are being chastised and threatened for not wearing masks. This one is rich. Require ID. Require DHS officers conducting immigration enforcement to display their agency, unique ID number and last name. Require them to verbalize their ID number and last name if asked. So we want law enforcement officers to be held to a different standard than voters in blue states. We can't ask you to show an ID to vote, but by golly, those ICE agents have got to show an ID. They want to protect sensitive locations, prohibit funds from being used to conduct enforcement near sensitive locations, including medical facilities, schools, child care facilities, churches, polling places, courts, etc. So it's okay for an anti-ICE group to invade a church during a church service, but don't you dare conduct enforcement activities in or near a church. They want to stop racial profiling, prohibit DHS officers from conducting stops, questioning, and searching based on an individual's presence at certain locations, their job, their spoken language, and accept or their race and ethnicity. One of the most successful law enforcement policies in the history of the United States was stop and frisk in New York. People hated it. People on the left hated it. They fought to get rid of it. Stop and frisk led to the safest period in the history of New York City. If you look like you're doing something wrong, law enforcement had the opportunity to check you. If you were carrying a gun on the streets of New York City illegally, they had the ability to arrest you. Jeffries and Schumer want to uphold use of force standards to ensure state and local coordination and oversight. All right, what kind of state and local coordination are we talking about? Are we talking about like ICE needs to coordinate with jails so that if in prison you've got illegals in prison, they've got the ability to deport them? Because I'm pretty sure that in Minnesota, the cooperation between enforcement officials and the jails, not going so well. They do want body cameras, and that's something that was announced by Kristi Noem and DHS earlier this week. They say they want body cameras for accountability, though, not tracking. And they want no paramilitary police. Basically, they want immigrants to be able to stay. Illegal immigrants. We're back with you after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Mornings with Richard Cross. What's up?
Let's get the show going.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ice, baby. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. I sit back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly.
Just thinking during the break about the irony between federal law enforcement officers need to be able to show ID and identify themselves, but illegal aliens don't. I mean, that is rich. But it's exactly what you would expect from Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and others of their ilk. Glad to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Always enjoy getting to visit with our legislators. And this morning, Lee Yancey joins us, state representative for District 74. That's Rankin County. He is chair of the House Business and Commerce Committee. Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
Appreciate your time. Always good to visit with you, and appreciate you being in studio. Kind of a big week in at the Capitol. Big deadline earlier this week for general bills to be filed. I know sometimes there are workarounds on that. Give us an update from your perspective. The first month of the session now in the rearview mirror, 2 months to go. Where are you right now?
Well, the last month has lasted about a year. It feels like it's been a long month so far, particularly with some of the ice baby that you've had up there in Oxford, in North Mississippi. Right. You know, I got married in the beautiful city of Oxford 33 years ago. And my wife and I love Oxford, and I was born in Ripley, and Ripley's had a really tough time, and I want to say hello to all my friends and family in Ripley, and we love you, and we're praying for you, and it's just a terrible thing that's happened, across the Delta in North Mississippi with all the freeze, and we don't think about those kinds of events, and when we do, we recognize that Mississippi is a small town, and we all really care about each other, and really, a lot of people know a lot of people in Mississippi. Yeah. We're all very connected. But this past month has been a flurry. 2 days ago was the deadline to get bills out of committee from our own chamber. And so we went from about, I don't know how many thousand bills we had, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 bills. I think we have 260 or 270 on our general calendar now. And so there was weeping and gnashing of teeth 2 days ago by many people, and every one of those 2,000 bills had a lobbyist attached to it, and all of them had a hand on my coat on one side or the other. So it was really a big relief to get past Tuesday night and see a lot of those bills go by the wayside. And so now we can focus on the ones that are still alive, and yesterday was our first day of floor action, and we covered a number of bills. I pretty much cleared the business and commerce calendar yesterday morning with about 12 to 15 bills. I think we have 2 more still on the calendar. But we're glad to get to the point where we can do floor action. It's more fun for the visitors who come to the Capitol to be able to watch the debates on the floor than to see us all scurrying trying to get to a committee meeting. But it seems like it's been a long session with the storm and just a lot of different things happening. but we're glad to be at the point that we have made it to.
It was either yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, maybe it was on Tuesday, the Senate approved $20 million in immediate funding for activities related to the winter weather event in North Mississippi and the Delta. How quickly is that going to come to the floor of the House?
I think that there will be a House version of that, and we'll probably get together on that. And I guess the dispute is whether to give that directly to MEMA, which the Senate wants to do. I think there are a number of House members who have not been satisfied with MEMA's response to the storm, whether that's fair or unfair, and they would rather give the money directly to the cities and counties.
Okay.
But we are definitely looking at an aid package for those affected by the storm.
You have been in and around the state capitol for a long time, and so you have seen multiple disasters that have come along, whether you're talking about tornadoes or hurricanes or an ice event like this one. In your estimation, when you look at MEMA and the Herculean task that they have in trying to respond to disasters, what's your take on the agency and the way they respond?
Well, it's hard to prepare for, I heard one of my former colleagues say, a once-in-a-generation storm or a once-in-a-100-year hurricane. You know, you prepare as best you can for that event, but when it finally happens, it's always a little different than what you anticipated. And the important thing is to have everything ready and to be able to basically press a button as soon as the disaster, you know it's coming. You can do some things before the disaster hits, having the right equipment and the right bottled water and all the supplies that are needed staged in certain areas so that when something does happen, you can immediately put your plan into action. And we know that when there are storms like these, whether they're hurricanes or whether there are ice storms, you're going to have trees down on power lines. You're always going to need cutting crews to go in and clear the roads, and you're always going to need the power restored. So, you know, I think that it's just hard to respond, effectively over such a large swath of area.
Yeah.
And whenever you do respond in one area, there's another area that feels neglected. And, you know, why aren't we seeing what they're seeing over there? Why aren't we getting the kind of help from the state that they're getting? And so it's just a matter of, it's almost like a triage where you're trying to decide who has hit the worst and how can we, focus on, getting, as much power restored and getting warming centers and getting food and water to the places that are needed, getting our hospitals, our nursing homes back online, making sure that the most vulnerable among us are not going to really, really suffer as a result of this. So, I think that they're doing the best that they can. I think they learn every time there is a storm. There's always something to learn from going through a crisis, and you learn from your mistakes, and I learned from my mistakes. And I think the key thing that we can take away from this is how would we do it differently? What did we do right? What did we not get so right? What should we have done better? And I think that there will be a lot of people who are studying this for a long time, and we're going to continue to try to get it right.
Lee Yancey is my guest. He represents District 74, Rankin County, in the House of Representatives. He's also chair of Business and Commerce, and we'll get to that committee coming up in just a bit. I suppose the biggest story, at least of this week in the legislature, is what the Senate did a couple of days ago, killing House Bill 2, not making it out of the Education Committee. There were a lot of people that were disappointed that they didn't at least bring it to the floor for debate as opposed to just killing it. I guess the counter to that I would put out there is it's kind of what they've said they were going to do all along, and there's been a lot of debate leading up to this. Your reaction to House Bill 2 not even making it to the floor on the Senate side?
Well, I like to tell people that politics is a strange business. The word politics, poly coming from the Latin meaning many, and ticks being blood-sucking parasites. We are We're always trying to one-up each other and always trying to come up with an idea that's better than the other side. And ultimately, we get to conference and we try to come out with a product that's going to work. And, ultimately, most of us, don't necessarily care who gets the credit as long as we have a good product in the long run. And I would dare say that every single legislator at the Capitol cares about education. They care about our children. They care about the future of our state. And every one of us is trying to put legislation in place that would do that. I see any bill that the House sends to the Senate the first time and the Senate sends to the House for the first time as an opening negotiating position. Okay. It is not the final product. Now, everyone, who's not aware of the process of how the sausage is made is very alarmed when they see some of the votes that we take. But if you look at Donald Trump's art of the deal, you always put more into what you're asking for than you think you're going to get. And so I think what you're going to see is a good compromise from the House and the Senate on education reforms. We all want to see children be able to go to a school that is good for them, that is right for them. I think it would be, we'd be remiss if we didn't say we know that there are children who are not in the school right now that's best for them. And so there needs to be a way for that child to get to a place that has a better science program or a place that gives them what they need, or to get away from a bullying environment where they are. Whatever that happens to be, but we need to recognize that every school does not fit every child.
I think that's well said. I really do. Follow up on that on the other side of this break in terms of what that compromise or what that working together might look like over the next month or two during this 2026 legislative session. Representative Lee Yancey, chairman of the House Business and Commerce Committee, is my guest. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. We're back with you in just a couple of minutes.
From the Curve. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
The heat is on.
Lance, is that an ode for North Mississippi and the Delta, who would like to have the heat on?
Well, I figured Lee, being in the middle of legislative session,
there you go.
Apropos there.
There you go. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, communitybank.net, rooted in our community. Representative Lee Yancey is my guest, chair of the House Business and Commerce Committee. I want to go back to what you said. I thought the way that you laid out the process was good, and was a good reminder for people to hear that a lot of times a bill that goes from the House to the Senate or from the Senate to the House is kind of the opening bid. And then you've got to work through the process and try to get to legislation that both sides can agree on. Do you sense a willingness in the House to work through the Senate education reform bills? And I say that's plural because they did it in smaller doses than the one big omnibus that the House put forward.
Well, I mean, you could argue that those bills would not even have come from the Senate had it not been for House Bill 2. And so a lot of the different elements of House Bill 2, whether you're talking about portability or financial literacy being taught in 8th through 12th grade, or the possibility of a charter school being able to be formed in a D&F district on a community college campus. Think about having a charter school at Hines or Holmes here in Jackson or Raymond, and a student having an opportunity to graduate with their high school diploma and their associate's degree on the same day, and automatically be ready for a skill, to enter the workforce.
Yeah.
There are lots of things that we can do to be a little more creative that would give kids who are particularly in failing schools, a chance to have a success in life, to have hope. So, I think we're looking at ideas. We're looking at things that we think would make our state better. And again, if we don't care who gets the credit, I think we can accomplish a whole lot.
I spoke with the speaker, I guess it was the second week of the session, and I asked him specifically about, why the omnibus, why this massive bill with everything in it as opposed to smaller bills. And his answer was, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was basically similar to House Bill 1 a year ago. We want to do big things, and we want to bring all of the issues onto the table in a single bill. I'm curious from your perspective, and I'm not trying to put you at odds with the speaker at all on this, but as a legislator who's got to vote on these bills, do you like the idea of having a whole lot of stuff in one bill where maybe you agree with most of it, but there are parts that you disagree with? Or would you prefer to be able to debate individual bills on their merit to tackle each part of an issue?
Well, that depends if I'm sitting there as a member or if I'm sitting there as the speaker. If I'm the speaker and I want to accomplish this big thing, I'm going to put it all together.
Okay.
If I see a bill that has 80% of what I want, then I've got to work this out in my mind. How am I going to explain this to my district? How can I say I wanted this 80%, but I didn't want this 20%? Do you just vote no and not take the 80%? Or do you vote yes and try to answer for the 20%? So it puts a legislator in a more difficult position because not every district is the same, not every county, not every city, not every school district. And so there were things in House Bill 2, regarding capacity, about taking students from out of district that some were frankly worried about. But the fact that Rankin County has set their capacity 2 years ago, we're full, we're busting at the seams. We can't take any more students from out of district. A lot of the material that's in House Bill 2 would not have affected us. So, but that's not necessarily the message that's being portrayed out there to the people who are listening to all the noise. And so one of the hard parts about being a legislator is that you are keeping up with these issues in real time while the general public is about 2 weeks behind. And you may be on the third version of a bill, and they are emailing you about the way the bill was dropped a month ago. And it's changed. So it requires a lot of communication, and you have to be able, as a legislator, to stand up and explain all aspects of the bill and talk about what you're for and what you're against. And sometimes you have to vote yes just to move the bill forward because you're going to get several more bites at the apple. And those other things that you don't like might not be in there next time, or they might be, and then you can fight them next time.
Yeah.
So it's a long session. We just finished the first third of the session. So there's a long way to go. We're nowhere near sending a bill to the governor for his signature. So the sausage is being made, as it's always, that's the adage everyone uses. It's not a fun process to watch because there are things in there that no one can control, and people are afraid of uncertainty and the possibility of something happening that they're afraid of. And we're watching all of those things, and but we're keeping up with it in real time.
Lee, Rankin County is one of the counties in Mississippi that has outstanding public schools. I think maybe people lose sight of just how big the Rankin County School District is when you talk about Brandon, Florence, McLaurin, Northwest Rankin, Pelahatchie, Pisgah, Puckett, and Richland, all within Rankin County. I'm curious, as you visited with your constituents, because there are a lot of places that have outstanding public schools that were not necessarily for going down this school choice, especially universal school choice. What did you hear from the people in your district leading into this?
What I heard was that they didn't have all the information, and they were thinking that we were passing universal school choice that would have affected all 400,000 students in our state. We basically had a little pilot program that had 12,500 students, 6,250 of which would have been eligible for public to private. So, you're talking about a very, very small percentage of our state, And like I said before, we're already at capacity, so we couldn't have taken any more students. Now, I guess they could have worried about students leaving them, taking the $7,000 per pupil allotment and trying to go to private school with it, but that's a drop in the bucket for paying for private school around here. And so it was really not very many people at all that it would have affected in Rankin County. But there are other parts of the state where someone could have escaped a failing school and had a chance at life. And so I try to think about that person, and if I were that parent, would I want there to be a pathway for my child to have a chance to succeed? And as a parent, you do everything in the world for your children. You want to make sure that you try to equip them for life and to give them a chance and to go out and you model what that is. And, you know, we were just really trying. The way that I looked at it, I just broke it down to that one child who was stuck, and I wanted to see them succeed.
Sure. Business and Commerce, that is your committee. You said you cleared a lot of that legislation in terms of getting it to the floor yesterday. A few bills left. Give me the high points.
Sure. So let me do a shout out to the Bank Walkers Book Club that I'm in. They're all listening right now and rooting me on. But
the Bank Walkers Book Club?
Yeah, and it's a private joke from one of the books that we read. But House Bill 1072 was a great bill that we had this year that allows for portable benefits for an independent contractor, a temporary worker, say like a traveling nurse or someone who gets a 1099 instead of a W-2. Okay. They go from job to job to job, but they have a hard time getting health benefits or retirement plan or life or disability or any of the benefits that you normally get when you're employed. And so what this bill would do is allow for a hiring party, not saying the word employer, but hiring party, and it allows not saying the word employee, saying an independent contractor.
Okay.
It allows them to both participate in contributing to this independent contractor's health benefit plan or retirement benefit plan, or whatever the benefit plan is. And it's totally voluntary by the employer. It's portable. It travels with the independent contractor as they go from job to job. And it's 100% tax deductible for the hiring party and for the independent contractor. So it gives them a way to have benefits that travel with them when they don't have really a chance at getting benefits at the way that it is now. And it's estimated that about 29% of our workforce is independent contractors like these who get a 1099. So I thought that this Voluntary Portable Benefits Plan Act was a great bill. And I hope that the Senate will take it up and pass it, because it's going to be something that changes the way that people who work these new jobs. A lot of the younger people are doing these traveling nurse jobs and 1099 jobs, and this will really help them have the benefits they need.
That's interesting. And I mean, you mentioned the traveling nurse as kind of maybe a big piece of that, but I mean, there are a lot of industries where you've got that going on, including construction and lots of others as well. 2 months left in this 2026 legislative session, and I feel like we have fireworks still to come. We'll have to get our popcorn and watch. Lee, I appreciate your time this morning. Wish you all the best and look forward to visiting again soon.
Thank you, Richard. Best to you.
Representative Lee Yancey, he's the chair of the House Business and Commerce Committee, represents Rankin County. Appreciate his time this morning. We'll take a time out, wrap up the 7 o'clock hour with you next. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic
Mississippi. Deep dive into the news and debates driving the day. All on your ride to work. Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
That's right. Sometimes you gotta drive 55 if you don't want the blue lights in the rear view mirror. Sometimes you gotta do that, don't you, Lance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a standard for me. I never break the law, but always at the speed limit.
I got pulled over last night.
Oh, really?
I did. By a sheriff's deputy, no less.
Wow.
I had to make a run to pick up a kid last night at 11 o'clock, and I was making my way through a section of roundabouts. I saw the sheriff's deputy. He had a spotlight kind of shining across a big open field, and I didn't really think anything about it and just kept on driving and had to get on Highway 7. As I was merging, blue lights came on behind me, so I pulled over quickly and pulled my driver's license out. It was funny. I rolled down my driver's side window and was kind of hanging out and was kind of looking in my side view mirror, and then I heard a tap on the passenger side mirror or window. I was like, "Oh, sorry, you." And he said that my license plate was expired, which actually was true by 2 days. There was a reason for that, but it doesn't matter. And that the lights that shine on my license plate were not there. I did check that after the fact. I think they're just kind of dim, but they were on. And he said I was kind of in the middle of the lane. And I said, well, I'm sorry for that. I said I was kind of going through those roundabouts and maybe I crossed over, so apologize. Couldn't have been any nicer. Ended up having a pleasant visit with the deputy.
And I mean, the key though is to be like, do what they ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, here's the explanation on my license plate, and I'm sorry I went over the middle line.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you doing your job. He's a K-9 guy.
Oh,
also.
wow. Yeah, you don't want to mess with those guys.
Outstanding.
Don't want to mess with those guys. Yeah, that I can't drive 50.
We chatted, and it came up that I'm on the radio. He actually brought that up, not me. Yeah. And he said, you ought to have me on to talk about the dogs. I said, what kind of dog? I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. We've had a couple on before in the local show, Mary Whedon and you. And, man, you talking about fine animals. I mean, they are something else.
Usually German Shepherds, but not always.
You got the Belgians. They're good. Yeah. That's the last one we had in. He was something, man. That guy, you don't want to mess with him. And but he did everything his handler would tell him to do. He's a Byram, and his name is Zeus. And some folks may know Zeus. He was amazing. But the amount of time and effort that goes into training the animal and then the connection between the handler and the animal. I mean, there are pets and at the same time a partner in crime and law enforcement. And the guy over in Flowood, who's awesome, he has the Bloodhound, and that's a tracker dog. And he's told me some stories of being drugged by that Bloodhound through pine thickets and everything, trying to get to the guy that's hiding back there in the scent. And that Bloodhound is like a horse. But, I Can't Drive 55 is a little inside baseball joke between Lee Yancey and I this morning. He had a little fun getting here,
Hey, I was going to tell you another story, but we need to get this out there. So we told you yesterday about a threat that was issued at Madison Station Elementary School. Ultimately, there was an all clear, and students were able to return to school. It has happened again this morning. The alert that came this morning, a threat was called into Madison Station Elementary School. Law enforcement and first responders are on campus and processing the scene. Students and staff are being relocated by bus to Ridgecrest Church on Old Canton Road. Parents are emergency contact. So it's the almost same release as yesterday. But then today at 7:02, a notification went out to parents that said Madison Station Elementary is currently unable to receive students this morning. Law enforcement is already on campus and assessing the situation. That is 2 days in a row at the same elementary school in Madison. At best, unnerving for parents. Especially for parents, but for students that have an idea what's going on, scary for them. And somebody just sent us a picture. Said they just drove by Ridgecrest, and you can see where in that church parking lot you have people lining up, and 2 days in a row. That is no good.
And a sorry person to do it, too. Whoever's doing this is sorry. Sorry as it gets.
Well, and it's like you almost hope it's the same person and not some copycat syndrome. Oh, that was funny yesterday. Let's do it again today, but a little bit different. In fact, they have just officially closed the school for the day for a second consecutive day. And good luck to law enforcement on the investigation on this. Got to get that solved quickly. Somebody says whoever is doing this is going to get major jail time. Do it. Put them there as quickly as possible. By the way, tip of the cap to one of my colleagues for tipping me off on that this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From Duck Hill to Alligator, Mississippians start their day the right way. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Thanks for being with us as we roll into the 8 o'clock hour. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Don't forget the C Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. Thanks for joining us. C Spire, customer inspired. It is my pleasure to welcome one of our friends from Palmer Home for Children, Whit Lewis, who is Senior Director of Community Partnerships. Always great to visit with Whit and with any of the team from Palmer Home. Whit, let's start with how the campus is doing after the winter storm came through. Obviously, North Mississippi, parts of the Delta, got a lot of ice, a lot of sleet, and there was a lot of tree damage. You guys doing okay?
Yeah, we are doing well, but just like with you and everyone in Oxford and really all throughout Mississippi, disruption is the key word. Disrupting of schedules, disrupting of routines, disrupting of the things that we've come to enjoy. But I was on campus yesterday. It's slowly thawing out, and it just goes back to again the realization that how blessed we are, and but also just basically having to come together to make sure we endure and navigate tough times and chaotic times well. But campus as well, kids are, house parents are helping keep them busy and working and engaged, and all of the things that you and I are doing, we're all doing, just like my kids are here, and I had to threaten them to make sure that they were quiet during this time. So we're all just trying to navigate this together.
Yeah, I didn't think about this until you said it a second ago, but routine is a piece of the puzzle at Palmer Home for Children. And for a lot of the kids that are there, it may be the first time in their life where they've had any sort of structure and routine. This is a little bit of a curveball, and so maybe some added load on the house parents. But I know everybody's handling it as best they can.
Absolutely, and routine brings predictability. Predictability brings trust and comfort. And anytime that's shaken, whether it's through storms like this or life events, you're having to kind of navigate some of those. But these house parents, again, think about they're in a home, not able to get out really, and then having to keep the kids engaged, keep a routine, sure. Try to keep things that are engaged there, so that it doesn't just feel like wasting days, but it feels like productive days, even in the midst of just chaos.
Yeah. What about house parents? I know that's something that is constantly a need for Palmer Home. There is a very special and a very unique calling for some people who are willing to take on that role. And I mean, God bless the people that have chosen to do that have chosen to serve in that role, whether it's at Palmer Home or a similar place.
Sure.
But What is the need for you in terms right now of house parents?
Well, first and foremost, we go back to when I think about house parents. I mean, this is the very heart of our mission. That everything that we do, caring for vulnerable children, everything we do, our programs, our partnerships, our fundraising, our advocacy, exists because of what happens in the homes. And the house parents are the heartbeat. They're the foundation, meeting these children where they are, doing the same things that each and every one of us have done for our kids or grandkids. These are vital, right? And it's not really a well-known, I guess you would call, not a career, but it's a calling. And these are vital and urgent. And we, are in great need of missional caregivers, house parents, those that will come alongside and realize that, hey, nobody's looking for perfection. Nobody's looking for just, have it all figured out. They're just looking for people, missional people that love the Lord and allow that to flow through them as they care for kids and doing things that are already natural for them, for many of them, right? That they've raised their own children or and we have some house parents on campus now that are raising their children, just doing the natural outflow of being the gospel in action or love in action to these young people. We need house parents, again, because when we don't have house parents, then we're not able to receive as many children. And we're not able to care for as many children. And so this is an incredible calling, missional calling for people to come alongside, invest their lives into young people that are looking for someone to show them what hope looks like, help looks like. And they may not articulate it that way, but they're looking for stability and they're needing someone to genuinely love them. And so we're encouraging those that are out there that are maybe feeling like, hey, what's God calling me to do? What's God wanting me to do? And would you consider praying about being a house parent, a caregiver? Would you encourage your friends, churches, share that with us. We need house parents, caregivers to again, care for vulnerable children.
We've always talked about with Palmer Home for Children that it's a multi-pronged approach. It's about the physical well-being of the children that are there, their emotional well-being, but also their spiritual well-being. And the spiritual piece of it is at the center of everything that Palmer Home does. And I was thinking as you were saying that this calling that you represent for house parents is kind of central to the gospel and what Jesus taught, especially in Matthew 25, where he talks about, he's talking and the people say, well, Lord, when did we feed you when you were hungry? And when did we give you clothes? And he says, anytime you did this for one of the least of these, then you did this for me. And it feels like that's something that someone might need to hear this morning in thinking about the way they try to live out the gospel.
When I speak in churches and when I speak in groups, what I always want to drive home is this is a missional calling, right? This isn't a job. You can't do it a 9 to 5. This is a calling in which the Holy Spirit is placed within you. And it's really because you see what Christ has done for you. I think about the Good Samaritan and Luke chapter 10, and they're trying to trap Jesus. And Jesus talked about the Samaritan, the one probably be the least one to show help, but he does show help. The other two that should have shown help, the priest and the Levite, they just passed by. And then Jesus responds back, which do you think is the neighbor? Right? And the one said, the one who showed compassion. And Jesus then, what I love about this, is he doesn't give a list of rules to do. He just says, go. The only command in that parable, go and do likewise. Meaning that as you have received grace and mercy, you go in whatever capacity you can and to do that, right? And so when I think about these house parents, we talk about missionaries, right? I can put them in the same category as missionaries because kids are coming to them, coming to their homes. They're not having to go to somewhere else. They're coming to them, and they're doing what's natural. They're helping the kids to get ready for school, sports, go to the doctors, this and that. But in that process is the discipleship process. You begin to have relational connectivity, begin to pour the gospel into these young people. And what an incredible opportunity to do that into the lives of young people.
One of the things that we know about Palmer Home for Children is all of the support is private support. There's no government funding that goes along with you. With that in mind, and the legislature in session right now, House Bill 738 is something that I think you and the team at Palmer Home are keeping an eye on, related to income tax credits for charitable donations at the state level. Is that right?
Is this part of the Mississippi Promise Act, I believe is what you may be talking about here. If not, then I'm grateful that our CEOs and our leadership is on top of it, pivoting things. They just would have let me run my mouth, which is what I appreciate. But what I am grateful for is that our CEOs and all of our leadership is engaged with our Mississippi Senates and lawmakers, representatives, also Tennessee as well, trying to make sure that we stay viable, right? And we stay compliant because, again, we want to do this. We've been doing this for 130 years. We're in the midst of our 130th year since 1895. Began with a calling, right? Churches saw a need, and with sacrificial love began this reaching out and began this ministry. And so now, continue on. You have to make pivots, right? You have to make changes, make adjustments, but that mission stays the same. And so our team is doing an incredible job of staying on top of those. And we're grateful for legislation that allows for credits, deductions, and things as well.
Whit, I always appreciate your time. Great to be with you. Great to get an update on Palmer Home for Children, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. Hope y'all stay safe.
Thanks. You as well. Whit Lewis, Palmer Home for Children. He's the Senior Director of Community Partnerships, and that's partnering with civic organizations, with churches, with clubs that want to help with the mission, an incredible mission at Palmer Home for Children. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Morning, Mississippi. You're starting your day off right. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
We mentioned House Bill 738 to Whit when we were talking just a moment ago, and I need to get clarification. I think this bill belongs to Scott Bounds. It's with Ways and Means. An act to authorize an income tax credit for voluntary cash contributions by taxpayers to qualifying charitable organizations. This is something that we've talked with Madison about in the past at Palmer Home, and I'm curious if the previous iteration was temporary and this is a permanent solution on this. Up to $500,000 a year in tax credits are available for individuals and businesses to make. There's a lot of filing that has to go along with this. And it's something that if you have an interest in learning more about, if your business is looking for tax credits and wants to do something good to go along with that, then it would certainly be something worth reaching out to Madison Drake at Palmer Home for Children and to your accountant that you're dealing with and talk to them about House Bill 738. We'll try to keep an eye on the progress of this bill, and if it ultimately makes it through and becomes law. It would take place as of January 1st, 2026, from and after. So that's what we were talking about just a moment ago. The C Spire text line is open to you at 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. So we were talking about Madison Station Elementary School in Madison for a second consecutive day being closed after a threat has been called into a school, into the school. Yesterday we know that it was a bomb threat. Ultimately, after law enforcement officials swept the property and checked everything out, it was ruled to be in the clear. It has happened again this morning. A text notification went out to parents of students at Madison Station just after 7 o'clock. I think 7:02 was the timestamp on the text message. And so any kids that were already at school were taken to Ridgecrest Church. Parents have been instructed to go there. We were told by a listener on the C Spire text line that there were 5 to 7 police cars that were, I assume that's at Madison Station, where you had the heavy police presence and the K-9 unit that was going in. So, bad stuff. And to all those parents, maybe you just tell your kid, congratulations, you get a skip day, you get to play hooky today, and maybe you can avoid a lot of depth to that conversation. But for those kids who are inquisitive and keep asking questions, God bless you. I hope you can find the wisdom and also the right words to be able to explain evil without creating fear in the hearts and the minds of your kids. So, and that's tough stuff. And especially to not have it just yesterday, but to have it in consecutive days, that is really, really tough stuff. We are, 12 and a half months into the Trump administration, round 2.0. So January 20th, 2025, Trump was inaugurated. And here we are on February 5th of 2026. We know that there are a lot of changes. One of the significant changes, and it took a little while to get to the confirmation, was bringing in Kash Patel to run the FBI, Pam Bondi to run the Department of Justice. Of course, Dan Bongino was the deputy director of the FBI. He has since left the organization, has gone back to hosting his daily online program. And I think it was the #1 podcast in the world on its first day back. So good for Dan Bongino. But there's been a lot of derision thrown at Kash Patel. You're not doing enough. You're not doing it the right way. The FBI is corrupt. What if you just look at the numbers and say, show me some results? Hey, Kash, I don't think you're doing a good job. And Kash responds, well, not saying we can't do better, but here's our first-year report card. Not saying it doesn't have any red marks on it, but this is a report card that young Kash Patel would be more than happy to show to his parents and wait for them to smile. In 2025, the nationwide murder rate dropped by 20%. In 2025, there was a 100% increase in violent crimes year over year. In 2025, 1,800 gangs and criminal enterprises had their activities disrupted. And in the way they measure that, that was a 210% increase. Over 2,000 kilos of fentanyl seized. Enough to kill more than 130 million Americans. That seizure number is up 31% year over year. What about violent extremism arrests? A 490% increase year over year. 6,000 child victims located, up 22%. 1,700 child predators arrested, up 10%. 300 plus human traffickers arrested, up 15%. A 35% in espionage arrests. That's people spying on the United States. A 40% increase in global extraditions or foreign transfers of custody. 4 of the top 10 on what was the FBI most wanted list. 4 of 10 captured in 2025, which is the same number in the previous 4 years. And oh, by the way, nearly $5 billion saved by closing the Hoover Building in Washington, D.C. Lance, it wasn't perfect. They didn't go unscathed. They didn't get it right all the time. But if you are a fan of law and order, if you are a fan of the FBI protecting the United States, it's hard not to be impressed with those numbers.
Well, and it's also mind-boggling when you really think about how much has been done and had to be done because the previous administration decided to do nothing. So, yeah, I think the report card is fabulous given what he was going up against. It's a mountain to climb, and it's not like a little Woodall mountain in northeast Mississippi. This is Mount Everest. And you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I think they're doing that.
Oh, by the way, doing it when the opposition to what they are doing is happening at every single turn, where you've got judges that are actively trying to get in the way, activist judges, trying to get in the way of the FBI doing its job. Nearly half of Congress against the FBI doing the job that they are doing.
Well, they're deporting voters. Yeah, illegal ones, but voters.
Yeah. Which could potentially be a problem for Democrats. Potentially.
Let's hope so. I'd like to see the real numbers out there. Actually, who's registered to vote? Because in this country, you have to be a citizen to vote, period.
And, it's interesting you say that. Because we've heard a lot of pushback from Democrat leaders, Democrat elected politicians about voter ID laws. People who are elected as Democrats do not want voter ID laws. They're Jim Crow. They're suppressing votes. And yet, polls show that that's not what the people of the United States actually believe. Who tells us that? I'll let you hear it coming up next. This from CNN, of all places. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back with you right after this.
Mississippi. Said in the halls of the Capitol, you're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross continues on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Three phrases come to mind all at the same time when I see this story. One of them is delicious irony. One of them is as dumb as a sack of hammers. And a third phrase, when I read this headline and I see this story, is, you've got to be kidding me. In Minneapolis. Have you seen this? In Minneapolis, anti-ICE protesters, the people that are against ICE, want to protect the people who might be targeted by ICE. And so what have they done? They have set up roadblocks and traffic checkpoints where they are checking to see who is coming and going. Lance, do you know what they did?
No, sir.
They created a border. One woman said, "We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming and going in and out of our neighborhoods." So the anti-ICE protesters in Minneapolis have created a border where they can make sure they know who is coming and going, so that people that they don't want or are not authorized to be in those neighborhoods can't get in. You can't make this up.
No, it's so bizarre. I'm speechless is what it leaves you at times.
It is. It's real. What are you doing?
In the city-state of Minneapolis.
Oh, we're just making a checkpoint here. Can I see your ID?
Sounds very Russian, very communist of the Cold War era.
It sounds like every sovereign country in the world that has laws about who comes and goes into their country, just at a neighborhood level.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're anti-ICE, and you don't want ICE in your neighborhood, I guess that's what you got to do these days. You just got to go against law and order.
Yeah, but I feel like this is neighborhood suppression.
Well,
I mean, not everybody has access to a photo ID.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you didn't have to show one when you...
These anti-ICE activists are putting Jim Crow laws into entering and exiting neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. But yet you had, who was it, Schumer, that stated yesterday that this is, the Republicans are engaging Jim Crow laws.
Turns out Americans don't mind that. My source? CNN.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
That is from CNN. Pew Research shows that 8.5 out of every 10 white Americans favors photo ID to vote. Not just voter ID, but photo ID to vote. 8.2 out of every 10 Latinos in America supports photo ID for you to be able to vote. And 3 out of every 4 black voters, slightly more than that actually, favors photo ID. And yet the people that don't want it, elected Democrats. They scream from the rooftops and the mountaintops, "You're suppressing the vote! It's a Jim Crow law!" And no, turns out that Republicans and Democrats alike, white, Latino, and black people alike, all think that we should have secure and fair elections.
I mean, think about all the things that would happen if you didn't have a driver's license with a picture on it. I mean, and you're talking about just a motor vehicle where you're putting others' lives in danger, yours, your kids, all that, if you don't know how to drive and do all that. But in politics here, a voter ID, to me, is extremely important because it protects the sanctity of democracy. It allows you to know that legal citizens are voting. This is not, one of these things where you're drawing a line around a certain group or demographic of people saying, no, we don't want them to vote.
Democrats give lip service to wanting fair and secure elections, but that's all it is. It's lip service. Mm-hmm. Because they know that in fair and secure elections, where you have to actually be a living person with a heartbeat who is an American citizen with a photo ID to vote, takes tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of their voters out of the game. It moves those pieces off the board, and they actually have to win on merit and ideas.
You got to have some substance then.
And they can't do that.
Yep.
They can't do it. Again, 8.5 white Americans, according to Pew Research. 85% of white Americans, 82% of Latinos, 76% of black voters all favor photo ID. And so, when Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi or fill in your favorite Democrat scream from the rooftops, voter suppression, Jim Crow era laws coming back, and they're trying. What they're really saying when they say that is, you, if you want voter ID, are a racist. And it's gaslighting of the highest order, because in actuality, what they are saying is racist and demeaning to those Latinos and blacks that they are primarily talking about. Well, yeah, you can't get a photo ID. Says who?
It's insane.
We're living in 2026. If you want a photo ID, a government-issued photo ID, it is so incredibly easy to get one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're legal, it is. Yeah.
And if you're not, you can't get one, which means you can't vote. It's an incredibly novel concept, allowing just only legal American citizens to vote in American elections. If you, as an American citizen, packed your bags and moved to Belgium and did not change your citizenship status, do you think you'd be able to vote in Belgium's elections? If you moved to Zimbabwe, do you think that you would be able to vote in Zimbabwe's elections? If you moved to Mexico, you wouldn't be able to vote in Mexico's elections because you're not a Mexican citizen or a Zimbabwean or a Belgian. It's just not how it works.
Well, and I mean, think of
this.
But
it works here.
Yeah, well, you can get a Social Security number. You're supposed to have one if you're a non-citizen. It allows you to work, get paid, report income, do all the things that most citizens can do, but you don't get to vote. I wonder how many illegals actually have a non-citizen Social Security number, one that allows them to get paid and work in the system, not on the other side of it, the black market, but those that actually are here to work and contribute. How many of them have applied for the Social Security number for non-citizens? I'm sure that's a number you can't find.
For months, if not years, Democrats have been hoping that the smoking gun of the Epstein files would implicate the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Trump has gotten tired of the conversation about Epstein, but he did answer a question a couple of days ago about it, and he says that it's actually backfired on Democrats.
We have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that, because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, that I had nothing to do with this guy. But, yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they were only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it, they were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too.
That was the President, Donald Trump, a couple of days ago talking about the Epstein files, the most recent release of documents. By the way, Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to testify about Epstein before Congress, and they want it to be televised. We'll wrap it up with you coming up next.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Get the inside track on Mississippi politics. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Last time with you on this Thursday morning, the 5th of February. Thanks for being with us. Don't forget that later today it is In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar. You'll hear an interview with Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and two-time national champion Gino Torretta. You can listen to In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar today at 1 right here on Super Talk, Mississippi. I mentioned this yesterday and want to make sure that you still know about it. If it's about my friends at Belk Ford on Highway 6 West in Oxford, if during the recent winter storm you had a total loss on a vehicle, and total loss is defined by your insurance company, then you are eligible for employee pricing on the purchase of a new vehicle from Belk Ford. Big savings for you there. And it varies by model, by the vehicle that you choose. It's not just, it's 10% off the top. It could be $5,000 off the sticker price. It could be $10,000 or more off the sticker price, depending on the vehicle which you were looking at. But Belk Ford would love to help you with your next purchase of a vehicle. They will find you the best financing rates available, and they'll get you the best price that you'll be able to get anywhere with employee pricing on any total loss vehicle that you or your family may have had to deal with as a result of Winter Storm Fern. So many tree limbs that were down, so many power lines that were down. We know that there's been a ton of property damage. So an opportunity for you to catch a little bit of a break on the purchase of a new vehicle from Belk Ford. Great people there. I've been doing business with Belk Ford since 1998, and here we are in 2026, almost 30 years later. It is the place that I go over and over again. Belk Ford, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Stop by and see them, and if you don't mind, tell them you heard about them on Mornings with Richard Cross. Just a couple of minutes left. Some messages from you on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Tim in Tupelo says, I'm wondering if the Clintons are going to testify for the promise of immunity. I don't know. There was a lot of negotiating back and forth about the terms on which they would testify before Congress. Somebody said, what about Billie Eilish and her stolen land comment? She said, there's no such thing as an illegal when you're living on stolen land. And then very, very quickly, people realized that Billie Eilish lives in a house in California with a wall around it and a gate for the entry. And the question was, well, does that mean that you are going to let anyone that wants to enter, since you technically are living on stolen land, into your home, into your property, into your safe space? Backfire.
Yeah, the Tonga tribe. They're like, we don't want your land, but let's be honest here.
Yes. We have not talked about it as much this morning, but the recovery efforts and the restoration efforts in the wake of the winter storm that plagued much of the Mississippi Delta and much of North Mississippi is ongoing. I mentioned this last week. For those of us that were affected by the winter storm, it stays front of mind. Every time you walk out your door and you see tree limbs that are still down in your yard or stuff that's piled up higher than the height of your head along the street, or perhaps your power is still out, it is very, very real for you. If you don't live in an affected area, and this is not a knock, it's just kind of the way that we operate. We're sad, and we focus on something that happens for a few days, sometimes a week or more, and then we kind of move on. And we continue our lives. I hope that you will continue to remember those that have been affected, as you've still got thousands and thousands of people in the Delta and in North Mississippi that are without power. I spoke with a couple of line workers yesterday. So this all started Saturday night a week ago. So 12 days ago? And there are people that are still weeks away from having their power restored. The focus starts out in the areas of highest population concentration because you want to get as many people's power back on as you possibly can. But once you start moving into the more rural areas of the counties in the Delta and in North Mississippi, it becomes more difficult because it's a one-off and it takes longer. Deborah in Corinth correcting me, saying all of North Mississippi, not most. Thanks for the semantics, Deborah. I thought I included everybody. If you felt excluded in that, my apologies. Patients, please continue to check on your neighbors, especially those that are older. Thankfully, we're going to get some warmer temperatures over the next few days. That should help. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great day.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.